We on and popping. So
Yes.
let's make it do what it do.
First show. I'm so excited.
Indeed. Well, welcome to That's a Word with Marcia and Gino. I'm Gino Morrow,
And I'm Marcia Williams Cromer.
and we begin each conversation with intention, one word at a time. Let's get into it. Marcia, speak your word.
All right, Gino. The first word that I'm choosing for our podcast is verisimilitude. And I'm going to give you the definition. Verisimilitude is the appearance of being true or real. And the history behind this word for me was a relationship I had with my aunt. When I was younger, I would go spend the summers with her. And I'm dating myself now because she loved Phil Donahue, right? So we would hang out watching Phil Donahue, and she's just interested in the stories and the people's lives and what have you. Well, on one day in particular, Diane Carroll, the world-renowned famous actress, Black actress, was on the show being interviewed. And she said that white people often question the verisimilitude of her Blackness.
She shot him.
Beautiful woman, very intelligent, very sharp. And because of their racism, these are people in the industry, the show business industry, who are looking to hire her. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. There were Black roles that she went after and wanted to play, and she couldn't get the job because they questioned the verisimilitude or the truth, the honesty of her Blackness. Are you really Black? Or you just like,
Wow.
what like you passing for Black? Okay,
Yeah.
that's a new one. Yeah. Unless, of course, there are times when I feel like there have been Black people who've been asked to play roles that a million other Black people could have played, but they weren't, by cultural standards and white standards, they weren't Black enough to play the role.
And that tends to be a trend within Hollywood. I would just really quickly interject my thought behind the fact that she used a word like verisimilitude, which I never heard of until you mentioned it.
Right.
And it made me go, how do you what? How you
Yeah.
pronounce that?
Yeah.
How you spell that?
Yeah.
And it made me think in the context of Hollywood, her saying that on a talk show, oh, you gonna question your own intellectual capacity on that one. You're gonna start thinking, yo, yeah, to limit this woman when she's throwing out words like verisimilitude, obviously we're short-sighted.
Exactly. And the story behind that even goes deeper. Part of my upbringing, I was raised by a bunch of teachers, and my aunt was also a teacher. And I appreciate her not just telling me what the word meant. She was like, oh, no, this is going to become a word that you know how to use, which means you have to look it up. You have to use this word in a couple sentences so that, it actually gets into your consciousness and you understand what the word means and how to use it.
Yeah.
But also it gave us another opportunity, very much like you and me, to have discourse around things that matter. And this woman telling me as a young girl that the world will question you. The world will have, their own thoughts and opinions about you. But she persevered. This lady became the first Black woman to have her own television show on network TV. The show was called Julia. You guys can look it up. But Diane Carroll, an amazing actress, singer. I was fortunate enough to get a chance to see her in a role that she stepped into on Broadway. The play was the Vagina Diaries. And the night that we went,
Vagina Monologue.
Monologue. That's it. The Vagina Monologue. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the night we happened to go, she happened to be standing in for someone that was not able to show up. And it was such a treat for all of us sisters to be there on that night, especially with the connection that I felt that I had to her based on my interaction with my Aunt D.
Yeah. Wow. So there were several strong connections or influences of Black women within that one word. There was the influence of Diane Carroll and your aunt. So when you looked up the word, did she require you to bring it back, to come back to her, and what was that? What was tell me about that?
Yeah, so I had to use the word in a couple of sentences after looking it up and verifying that it was the right spelling and it was the right word. And the reason I knew it was because of the definition, you know, and I was like, you know, the other words that I kind of thought were spelt similar, the definition, it wouldn't have fit. So it gave me an opportunity to really hone in on that, find that word. And then, dude, Aunt D made me create sentences, actually write them down.
Yeah.
And I started doing after that, and this is before Google, you know, keeping a dictionary under the coffee table at my home, so that if I heard a word, even at my parents' house, I started doing it early. If I heard a word I didn't understand, and I love words, they just feed me, you know, and I that's one of the reasons that I am so excited about this podcast.
Yeah.
I think that we've gotten so far away from that consciousness of words and how powerful they are, and how you can basically, you know, from a debate standpoint, if you don't have a good vocabulary, you know, there's no winning in that. And, you know, I just feel like it's something as a writer that matters to me from my core. So,
you had a family full of female educators.
Yeah. And male educators as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My dad actually was an ag teacher.
Really?
An agriculture teacher back in the day. Yeah. And he just kind of, you know, kept progressing. But, you know, this was a time when you had jobs that were really more like callings, you know. And not only that, let's keep it real, that many times we were relegated from a professional standpoint to being teachers or nurses, or, you know, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go over to IBM and, you know, put in an application. That was before the times that we're living in now.
That's a fact. So I say that to say, you were groomed to become someone who like taught, and you teach through writing books. Like we learn about life, we learn about connections, we learn about the nuances of relationships in the details that are given in the books that you write, you know. And so in that way, like you were sort of ushered into it at a very young age, because you were 13 carrying around a pistol called Verisimilitude, just waiting to pop it on somebody.
Yeah, that part, yes. And, you know, I always felt the power in words.
Yeah.
You know, I always felt like, you know, actually being a kid that liked to use words, sometimes I got, you know, cracked on, I got picked on. It's like, you know, Marcia, nobody understand that word, you know, just, you know, you can say it's simpler than that. You don't have to talk white or whatever.
Right.
And I just, you know, those words are not just for white people. Those are our words. In fact, we probably created the words to start with, you know?
Okay. Did you at 13, you said it was 13 when you went through that, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever throw that out at one of your classmates? Like, are you trying to impose your verisimilitude?
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that, because while I would not subject my classmates to my growing vocabulary, I wore my family out. I wore them Negroes out.
Yeah.
I had to practice on somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Your aunt ever get aggravated? I should have never.
No, they loved it. And you know what? It's okay if that means you got to go look up a word.
That's right.
It is what it is.
So quick pivot back to Diane Carroll. She used, number one, she was addressing a real issue that's consistent, you know, pervasive
to this
in Hollywood. To this day. which is you're trying to typecast me, and I'm so much more. And it ain't even just Hollywood. Ain't that just like living in America?
No. We got to find a box for you that makes us comfortable with you.
Yep.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
Yep.
And it's not just white people that do it to us. We do it to ourselves too.
We do. We've been trained, we've been socialized to be good slaves. Yeah, I agree. Which, you know, I mean, it might be a convenient segue, but if you want to keep going with verisimilitude, we can do that.
No. Speak your word. Speak your word, Gino.
Well, my word is a very simple word. It's so simple, and yet it is one of the most misused words in the English vocabulary. And that's just my take on it. It may not be the most misused word, but that's my take on it. The word is racism. And the reason why I wanted to choose the word racism, and I had a very difficult time trying to determine which word I wanted to use. And so when you challenged me with the idea of coming up with a word to share with each other and with our audience, I went through a few words, and I'm still going to use some of those words in some of our later episodes. But I was really challenged with this first episode and going, what word do I want to use? As a wordsmith and a lover of words, what word can I have a conversation around? And it wasn't until today, Marcia Cromer, of all of the weeks that we've been planning and preparing and talking about this, today was the day that I said, man, with everything that's going on in the world, I had an experience. So we got stories, and our words typically derive from our stories. My word derived from my college experience.
Exactly.
And I was in college and I was taking a sociology class. And the sociology class gave me a foundation for, the fight for scarce resources and the type of systems that are built on top of, the ideologies of maintaining groups holding on to the scarce resources and so on. So naturally, they went into defining discrimination and bigotry and prejudice and racism. And it was then in college, even though I had been exposed to racism at a lot, of course, we've been exposed to it for most of our lives, but my understanding of it became clear when those definitions were laid down for me, because now I knew what racism was not. When I received the definitions of prejudice and learning that the prejudice was a thought pattern or a way of thinking or an attitude, and that discrimination was acting out on that prejudice, and that racism was the structure in which the prejudice and discrimination could exist without any obstacles or impediments. Like, it could grow within a culture with the proper structure around it. The correct infrastructure would allow it to exist. And that's where the racism comes in, is the ability to put into place systems that perpetuate a mentality of discrimination and prejudice.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I thought it was an important word to start with was because oftentimes when I had listened to debates over the course of my life after college, especially on TV, and I'd hear people say, well, black people are racist too, and I naturally was like defer right back to the sociological terms and go, no. According to the terms, by definition, by your definition, we can't be racist because we don't own the system or the structure. We can't implement a structure that allows us to discriminate against you and benefit from it.
We can be prejudiced.
We can be prejudiced.
That's a whole different thing. We not racist, but prejudiced. Yeah.
We can even discriminate on some level, but not without consequence.
Right.
We can't discriminate without consequence. The minute somebody black attempts to even tell the truth about racism, and that's not discrimination, that's just telling the truth about racism, then there's a backlash. So can you imagine if we attempted to just to discriminate because we just don't have a knowledge of a person we're prejudiced against, and we just blurted something out. oh.
So
I mean, just talking about it right now, there could be a backlash. There ain't no discrimination in it.
Question, you said that those first instances that you were really that peaked to, the word racism was in college?
Well, when I was introduced to the sociological definition of racism, I just looked at racism like most people do, which is everybody can be a racist because we all come from a race. And then, of course, once you're in college and you learn, well, race is a construct that's not even founded in anything real. But, at a young age, my thought was, well, I belong to a race, you belong to a race, so I guess I can be a racist.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay, got it.
And that's where I was. So it wasn't until college that I realized, okay, this is beyond how I think about it. That's prejudice. My perception or my attitude about you is a prejudice. That's not racism. What you do to prevent me from getting loans, what you do to create redlining in different districts to that keeps us from generational wealth.
That part, yep.
Those are the systems of racism that act as a hindrance to our progress and allows you to benefit. Giving people 40 acres and a mule and then taking it back, but offering free land to, migrants and et cetera,
Yeah.
So now the other part to that story is it wasn't until I graduated that I had learned the most, how do I state this, where I got the best understanding of racism. And that was through our good sister, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who wrote the ISIS papers.
Okay.
And it was a friend of mine who introduced me to this book right after I graduated from college. And as you can see, I still got the book. It's tattered, it's discolored, it's got notes in it.
All good. Yep.
This book changed my perception on how I deal with white people because she laid it down from a psychological, she created a psychological framework using the work of Dr. Neely Fuller. And it helped me really put racism in perspective. And so I wanted to share that because one of the things that derived from her definition is that there is only one form of functioning racism on the planet, and that's white supremacy racism. And I was like, oh, so that altered my understanding because I thought, well, we could all be racist, right? No, even with the definitions I learned in college, I still had some reservation about the role that I played in racism, although I could see clearly at that point from my college teachings that, okay, white people are primarily responsible for it because they're primarily responsible for putting together the systems that allow it to live and perpetuate. But Dr. Frances Cress Welsing made it clear the only functioning form of racism on the planet is white supremacy.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is, and then she broke down how it plays out in entertainment, in education, in law, in sports, and I mean, and on and on. And then we seen like movies paying homage to her in small ways, like Baby Boy, or Boomerang with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
and
that's a good one.
Martin Lawrence was talking about the pool game, and he's talking about how the white ball controls all of the other balls, and they thought that the earth was flat, and so that's why the pool table is flat, and they thought that the goal was to knock all of the other balls off the planet, and the white ball has to be the remaining ball, but the last ball for the white ball to dominate is the black ball. I mean, so there were different movies and different things in pop culture.
Oh my God, the aggression is crazy. I got a question for you because we grew up in like different parts of the world. And you grew up in Buffalo. I grew up in a little town in Texas. when you were growing up, what were your experiences and, just navigating multiple cultures? Because recognizing where I grew up, there was mostly white people, then some black people. And just so you know, this is post segregation, obviously.
Right.
But some of the lingerings that still mattered enough that people just wanted to keep you kind of boxed out in the school system. If you wanted to be, say, a cheerleader, good point, because rather than just letting us vote on who we thought was the best, we were relegated to picking 6 white people and 4 black people.
Wow.
And those were instructions that we were given. Okay.
Wow.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. And when I think back on that stuff, I'm just like, so the premise was there are more of us, so we should have a bigger share of these, this talent on the field. And this was just killing them girls. I mean, just killing them. And we couldn't vote for them. So you're boxed out from the beginning, and you're a kid. You're a kid. You are a freaking kid trying to understand from the people who are supposed to be looking out for you that you're already limited. Okay. We can't just vote for you based on talent.
Right.
Ain't that messed up?
Woo. And see, that's where welfare began. That's where welfare begins. That's where DEI begins. So you mean to tell me you're not as qualified, but you're forcing me?
No, it doesn't matter if you're qualified, is what it's saying.
What I mean is in reference to them, like we have to put 6 of you in that position, regardless of whether or not you're qualified.
Yes,
you're going to insist that we put 6 of you when there could be 3 more sisters that could have easily taken the top 3 places that we put y'all in.
And I watched it happen. We all watched it happen, knowing that we had less quality because we had to stay within this structure.
So there's always going to be a consequence to mediocrity. There's going to be a consequence. Like, you can't keep promoting. They think that we make things mediocre. No.
Right.
We have to be twice as good just to even get your attention. For you to even allow us to come into the room with you, we have to be twice as good, 3 times as good, But if you keep allowing mediocre people, like, can you imagine after the quote unquote Emancipation Proclamation, where you had all of these skilled Black laborers who could not find work, but work was given to white people who didn't have to do the same type of work under the same circumstances, weren't as gifted or skilled. Rather, it was due to negative circumstances or positive circumstances, but they were given priority in opportunities. I mean, the system of slavery itself perpetuates mediocrity. And so everything that comes after it.
Well, and just from that standpoint, let's get back to that's a word. How we were prevented from learning, because anyone who wants to hold you back knows that information is what makes you a threat. Prometheus bound back in the day. How dare you give fire to man?
Yeah. Right. I see my camera's a little blurry. I'm just trying to get it back in focus.
Okay.
It's messing around with me. Anyway, sorry about that, Marcia.
No worries.
Yeah. So I could go on and on. And I'm hoping that, this is our first test run, and we wanted to fill it out.
Yep.
And so depending on the feedback we get from our audience and the feedback that we share with each other, We'll determine what direction we want to go in. I do know we have some good ideas. Like, I can't wait to introduce Blackronyms to our audience.
I know. I know. And you know what? I can't wait for our audience to jump in, and we're live for real, where they can, give us some words themselves. They can share their word, and words that they want to hear us discuss would be fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And then we engage in conversations with the audience through the words that they share. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been a great first run. Looking forward to getting on a consistent, schedule of going live and dropping the next show. But until then, I want to ask everybody watching to be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It means the world to us, and we want to keep growing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace.